to Fantastic History. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Clay.
We're a husband and wife duo who enjoy telling each other about amazing events, people, and mysteries throughout history. Now, Clay, this will come as a complete shock to you. But I love the city of New Orleans.
New Orleans, you say?
In fact, honey, when this episode comes out, I'll actually just be returning from a girls' trip to New Orleans to celebrate my 40th birthday.
That's right.
Oh my God.
So exciting.
Yeah. To amp me up for the trip, since we're recording this beforehand, I thought I'd do like a little listy episode talking about some of the wild fun facts and legends about New Orleans. But like, I'm not going to cover the ones that like you've obviously already heard about, like Marie Laveau. Yeah,
that's a very famous one. I'm sure there are lots of famous ones.
I'm not going to talk about Katrina, for example.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like nothing that like you would immediately be like, oh yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of this is going to be like spooky paranormal stuff, you know, like the sort of thing that's firmly in my wheelhouse and is basically the main reason I'm so obsessed with New Orleans in the first place. But like for the most part, what I'm going to discuss is like of this realm.
This is going to be a list episode?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Spooky list.
Yeah, spooky. Well, spooky with an asterisk. Like, I can't help myself, but most of these are like of the mundane variety, like of this world.
Okay.
First up, I want to talk about the Dewdrop Inn, because this place was just so New Orleans in every possible way. In a city known for its music scene, this was the club from the 1940s through the 60s. The Dewdrop was opened in 1939 by a barber named Frank Pena, who was like, you know what would make this barber shop like fucking awesome? If I also added a hotel and a kick-ass nightclub onto it.
You would think it would be the opposite. The barber shop might be something you add on to some existing property.
Like
but
the bonus in the hotel, like, oh, we also have a spa. We also have this and that. No.
He went the opposite way.
He went the complete opposite. Like I'm pretty sure is the first guy to ever like, be like, you know, this barber shop could really use about like 60 rooms for people to sleep in. It wasn't long before the Dewdrop became the absolute center of black entertainment in the segregation era. I mean, they had legends coming through like Ray Charles, Ella Fitzgerald, Little Richard, James Brown.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Basically, if you were anybody in R&B or jazz during that time period, you played the Dewdrop. Little Richard actually developed his iconic look and performance style while playing at the Dewdrop.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah. Legend has it that he would actually watch the drag performers who were part of the Dewdrop's famous midnight shows. And he was like, I am absolutely going to steal every bit of this fabulous energy. That is mine now.
Hey, charisma,
uniqueness,
pageantry,
nerve, and talent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What made the Dewdrop so special was that it was more than just a venue, obviously. It was a total safe haven during segregation. Black performers who were headlining at white-only venues, like this was something famously, like Ella Fitzgerald specifically went through, where she was asked to perform at whites-only venues, and then she had to leave. She couldn't get a drink there. You can sing, you can get the fuck out.
Right.
After people, you know, who are experiencing that sort of horrific racism, when they would finish their shows, they would then head to the Dewdrop to like actually enjoy themselves and hang out with other musicians and be treated like human beings.
Right.
Of course, white people would also sneak in because like this is where the real music is happening.
Mm-hmm.
The Dewdrop also had this absolutely iconic, oh my God, honey, I'm so mad that I can't go to this, Halloween drag show that people would line up around the block to attend.
Whoa.
Like this was the event of the year. So famous that even like straight-laced, uptight folks were desperate to get tickets to see the spectacle. After desegregation, the club gradually declined and eventually closed in the 70s.
Okay.
The building is still standing, though it was damaged by Katrina, because of course it was.
Yeah.
And there have been efforts over the years to restore it as like a historic landmark, which honestly it absolutely should be.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just a nightclub. It was basically the beating heart of New Orleans music during some of its most influential years. And music is one of the things the city is most known for.
Yeah.
It's like we should kind of be working to preserve that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, speaking of iconic New Orleans hangouts, let's move on to Cafe Lafitte in Exile,
Okay.
which I will absolutely be going to on my trip because it's more or less across the street from where we're staying.
Oh, cool.
So Cafe Lafitte in Exile claims to be the oldest continuously operating gay bar in the United States. So when I tell you this place has stories, the bitch has stories. The original Cafe Lafitte opened in 1933 at 941 Bourbon Street. This was like right after Prohibition ended.
Wow.
The building at that address has an amazing history. Like it was supposedly once home to the blacksmith shop of the famous pirate Jean Lafitte, which is where the name comes from.
Ah, okay.
But in 1953, when the property owner wanted to jack up the rent, the owners and patrons of Cafe Lafitte were like, "Nah, we're good." And they picked up the entire bar, furniture, memorabilia, everything, and marched down the block to 901 Bourbon Street, which is why it then changed its name to Cafe Lafitte in Exile.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, right away, if you're familiar with the French Quarter and you're a little bit confused right now, there is still a bar located in Lafitte's old blacksmith shop, and it is called Lafitte's Blacksmith Shop. So,
Okay.
so just not to be confused that there's two different like Lafitte's bars on the same block from each other. They're basically on opposite ends of the block when I've looked at the map, because
Okay.
I'm planning to go to both.
Yeah.
What makes Cafe Lafitte so special is its role, obviously, in the LGBTQ plus history at the time, when it was legitimately dangerous to be openly gay. Again, it opened in 1933. It was a sanctuary when there were almost none in the entire country. We're talking raids, arrests, like this was decades before Stonewall. Being gay was literally illegal.
Yeah.
But Lafitte's was there like we're safe, we got you, come on in, because it's New Orleans. Like, be yourself, like be as wild as you want to be, like just be like whoever you are, man, we got you. That's one of the best things about the city is you're seeing everyone in their natural state.
You are.
Yeah. Now for the good stuff, guys. The ghosts.
Yep.
Because of course it's haunted, like this is New Orleans. Tennessee Williams was such a regular that bartenders and patrons claim his spirit simply never left. People report seeing him sitting at the end of the bar with a drink, looking exactly as he did in his prime, only to vanish as soon as somebody approaches him, which I feel that in my soul. I wish I could do that.
Now, we may have some younger listeners.
Oh, God. Tennessee Williams is a very famous playwright. I would say probably best known for A Streetcar Named Desire, the movie of the same name starring Marlon Brando. And if you don't know who that is, I don't know what to tell you.
He was in a movie called The Godfather.
Oh yeah, y'all know that one.
Your grandfather may have been watching it on Sundays.
Yeah. Oh God, that hurts me.
Well, it's,
Tennessee Williams, like it makes perfect sense that he'd still be there.
Yeah.
Because he supposedly wrote parts of A Streetcar Named Desire while sitting at the bar there.
Oh, specifically that bar.
Sitting at that bar writing A Streetcar Named Desire. So, I mean, that was like his happy place. He could get his work done there. Like it had a lot of significance to him personally and professionally because he also was gay, by the way. If you did not know that about Tennessee Williams.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, now you know.
Now I've learned something.
You've actually learned something from our educational historical podcast.
What?
So unexpected. Now, another a gentleman of the LGBTQIA plus community, Truman Capote.
Now, there may be some younger listeners in the audience.
Turn it off. Just turn the podcast. I can't do this anymore. If y'all don't know who Truman Capote is, like, I can't do this.
He was a famous man back in the 70s.
I know y'all have heard of Breakfast at Tiffany's. He wrote that.
Yes.
Oh, God. Why are you bringing me down?
Look, we have a wide audience. These old references.
No.
Like Truman Capote.
Philip Seymour Hoffman won the Oscar. I don't need to hear this.
Now, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
No. No. He was in the Hunger Games movies.
That's
we don't need to
true.
worry about
That's
that.
true.
They know who that is.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. So Truman Capote is another famous ghostly regular at Cafe Lafitte in Exile. His favorite table is still marked in the bar. Like there's a little plaque with his name on it on the
cool.
table. And you better know I'm going to be pushing people out the way trying to find this table because
Yeah.
I love this man. This part is like a little bit rude. But I'm just going to say it. But like people have reported seeing like a short, peculiar man sitting at that table by himself, like muttering to himself and like scribbling notes, and then he just like disappears into thin air. Again, very jealous of this ability. Employees say sometimes they'll find a half-empty drink on his table with nobody around, or hear his distinctive, like very distinctive voice when nobody's there.
Okay.
One bartender even swore that a glass like once slid across the bar, like towards him, like very quickly slid across the bar towards him after he made a joke about Capote's height. So he's like, I'm going to show you today, son. I don't got to be tall to kick your ass. I don't even got to be alive to kick your ass.
He felt bites on his ankles.
That's so mean. Now, what I love about these hauntings is they're like not your typical scary, like vengeful ghosts. They're like just two writers who are like still leaning into like their alcoholic tendencies and just like vibing and trying to get some work done.
It's nice. I mean, you know how I feel about ghosts.
Sure.
But it's regardless of how anyone feels about it, it's nice to be remembered and have the aura of being just nice and chill and respected and respectable in the afterlife. I hate when people are like, this person died and they are maliciously affecting people from behind the grave. It's like you hear that a lot from like brothels and murder victims and things like that. It's like these people suffered enough. Why are they being still antagonistic and mean in the afterlife, if it's true or not? It's just cool to hear stories of
just vibes
of ghostly vibes.
I mean, like if I was a ghost, like that's what I would do with my eternity. Like I'd sit at a French Quarter bar with a drink in my hand, like writing my little stories and talking shit about drunk tourists.
Not making the Pazuzu face at people.
No, I would still
them.
do that, but that's because that's fun for me.
I think I'm beginning to understand the ghostly realm more and more.
Yeah, they're doing that for the lulz. Like they're just trolling people. They're not trying to like scare you because they're mean. They're trying to scare you because you look like an idiot and it's funny.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Now, with all of that aside, the important thing to remember about Cafe Lafitte's isn't the dead celebrities, it's the community that it created and maintained like for nearly 100 years at this point. It was a safe space for vulnerable people during incredibly oppressive times, even worse than now, believe it or not. The bar still has this air of defiance about it. Like, we've been here since before you were born. We'll be here long after you're gone. Pass whatever laws you got to pass. We're still here. Now, enough about nightclubs. I'm going to pivot to an antique store.
Oh, right. Yeah. There are things other than nightclubs and bars in New Orleans?
Believe it or not, yes.
Oh, man.
Now, more specifically, we're going to talk about La Belle Nouvelle Orleans Antiques.
Oh, cool. Okay.
This place is like if your eccentric, slightly witchy great aunt, or Clay, in your case, like if your wife decided to open a shop filled with all the weird shit she's collected like over a 200-year period.
That sounds insane.
Uh-huh. So it's located in a converted 19th century pharmacy building on Royal Street in the French Quarter. So definitely going here too. This antique shop specializes in what they delicately call, oh my God, you guys, post-mortem memorabilia.
Okay.
Yeah. Things like Victorian hair art, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's intricate artwork made solely from the hair of people's dead loved ones.
Oh my God.
Victorians, they would like weave, braid, and like arrange the hair into like elaborate designs. They would make wreaths, jewelry, like entire scenic landscapes, like only using hair, which is simultaneously super disturbing, but like oddly beautiful.
Well, I got to be honest. I'll go with the former on this one.
I mean, I am your eccentric, slightly witchy wife, so
Yeah.
yeah, you know.
I'm open to it, but it does sound very strange.
Sure. Now, the shop also has an incredible collection of death masks,
Oh,
which is something we talked about very briefly recently with the Somerton Man.
that's right.
Death masks are another thing that's like pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a plaster cast made of someone's face right after they died. It was the Victorian version of a memorial photo, I guess, like pre-cameras.
Sure.
The ones at La Belle include some super famous folks with ties to New Orleans, like Marie Laveau, obviously, and Napoleon Bonaparte.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was this really brief period of time, like New Orleans and Louisiana as a whole kind of switched hands a few times before it was sold in the Louisiana Purchase. Like founded by the French, obviously, then taken over by the Spanish. Then the French briefly got it back while Napoleon was emperor.
Uh-huh.
And then the Spanish took it back and sold it to America. So it was like, kind of like,
Yeah.
snip snap. But that's why there's so much like Napoleon stuff around New Orleans. He was very briefly there. That's not in my notes. That's just a fun fact for you.
That was fun.
There are also masks of various 19th century local politicians and like prominent citizens who, like you and I, the names are not going to mean anything to us really, but like their faces are literally preserved for eternity and they're just like on display in the store.
That's antique.
Yeah. Now there's something like intensely intimate and like honestly quite unsettling about looking directly at someone's actual face in death hundreds of years later.
Yeah.
Like very odd. But I'm into it. My absolute favorite thing that I've found out that they sell there, and I might just keep my little cutie eye out for, is their collection of mourning jewelry. Now this is mourning with a U, not like dawn of a new day.
If I had to guess, I would have guessed that.
Sure. The Victorians were obsessed with death. Like obsessed. And we actually talked about this way back in episode 64. I did a whole episode on like death in the Victorian times.
Yeah.
They would wear these intricate pieces made with jet black stones, braided hair, like we talked about, and tiny portraits of the deceased.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Some even had little compartments in the jewelry to hold cremated remains, so they could carry a little bit of their loved one around. But basically, the jewelry was like a mini portable shrine to their dead loved one. And like I think we all know I'm very into that. The shop itself feels like stepping into another era. It's cramped and dimly lit. There's like glass cases full of oddities. The owners are these incredible like fonts of knowledge who can tell you the whole history behind every item in the store. And because this is New Orleans and because this is a lovely store of death, there are of course ghosts in residence.
Nice. People
report feeling watched, hearing whispers, and seeing items move on their own.
Okay.
Yeah, love that for them.
I mean, it sounds like it would be the most haunted place of all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's up there. It's full of cremated remains and hair pictures.
Yeah.
Next, let's talk about Antoine's restaurant,
Okay.
which isn't just a restaurant, it's practically a religious experience for food nerds and history buffs. This place has been open since 1840, making it the oldest family operated restaurant in the entire country.
Wow.
Yeah. 5 generations of the same family have run this place for over 180 years.
Crazy.
Like, this restaurant is older than most states west of the Mississippi.
Yeah, you can sometimes forget that America is not that old.
No, it is really not.
There are restaurants in other countries that are much older
Oh, yeah.
than America, even older than when America was even discovered,
Oh, sure, yeah.
that are still operating. So this is actually it's pretty young
Yeah.
comparatively.
I mean, old as hell for America, but like to anyone anywhere else in the world, they're just like, okay.
But that's cool.
Yeah, it's
The same
very,
family too.
the same
Yeah.
family for 180 years. So Antoine's was founded by a French immigrant named, you guessed it, Antoine.
No.
Yes. He was like, you know what? I'm going to bring fancy French cooking to New Orleans and make it even better than it is back home. And holy shit did he achieve his dream.
Ah.
The restaurant claims to have invented oysters Rockefeller in 1899 when there was a shortage of escargot. So Antoine's son Roy was like, I'm just going to take that same herb sauce we use for escargot and slap it on these oysters instead because we got plenty of those.
Sure.
He named them Rockefeller because the sauce was so rich.
Ah.
And here's the kicker. To this day, they have never shared the recipe.
Okay.
Like, not ever. So any other oysters Rockefeller you have is like somebody has guessed at the ingredients they used at Antoine's.
You gotta
They
go-
don't know for sure.
You got to go there to get the original.
Yep.
Cool.
Now, this place is absolutely massive. It's 14 dining rooms spread out across an entire block of the French Quarter.
Wow.
Each room has its own theme.
Ah.
I'm obsessed with Antoine for this. This is incredibly extra and I love it. So there's the mystery room, which during Prohibition had a secret door. Like, so you'd go in the ladies' room and there was a secret door that led to a hidden bar. Now that bar is now the mystery room. So when people would ask during Prohibition, like, where did the drinks come from? The staff would just say, it's a mystery. Then there's the Rex room, which is basically a shrine to Mardi Gras royalty, with Rex, of course, being the Latin word for king.
Okay.
It's filled with crowns, scepters, like all kinds of carnival memorabilia. Then there's the 1840 room, which is where they keep all the super famous signed menus and photos of celebrities who have eaten there. The coolest is probably the escargot room, which has little Japanese-inspired booths, like little tatami rooms,
Yeah.
where you can have a private dinner conversation. So it's like you have your own little, like, tiny restaurant within the restaurant that's, like, just for you.
Interesting.
Now, word is, like, this is where all of the real political deals in New Orleans have been made for generations, is in the escargot room,
Cool.
because you've got that privacy.
Yeah.
The restaurant has survived yellow fever, multiple wars, the Great Depression, Prohibition, and of course, Katrina. When they had to close for Katrina, it was the first time they'd shut their doors in more than 80 years. After the storm passed, they reopened specifically to feed rescue and recovery workers. They were not open to the public.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's definitely haunted, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, namely by Antoine, who allegedly likes to rearrange the wine cellar and occasionally trip rude customers. Even in death, the man has standards, and I really respect that.
Yeah. I like that.
Now, up to this point, I've talked about places, and that's mostly because, like, I'm looking at it through the lens of my trip and, like, fun places to go and check out. I will say right now, I will not be going to Antoine's, and if you pull up the menu and you check them prices, you go know why.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would have guessed it was pricey.
It is very fancy. But for my last two entries, I want to talk about a couple of dudes.
Okay.
First up is Andrew Higgins. So you know those iconic landing boats with like the drop down front that you saw at the beginning of Saving Private Ryan and like any other World War II movie?
Oh, yeah.
Those are called Higgins boats. And they were built in Midtown New Orleans for the D-Day invasion.
Oh.
Andrew Higgins is probably the most important New Orleanian that people have never heard of. Dwight Eisenhower literally called him the man who won the war for us.
Ooh.
Saying that without his boats, they never could have landed over an open beach and the whole strategy of the war would have been different.
Sure.
This dude was an absolute force of nature, like part genius inventor, part ruthless businessman, 100% character. Higgins started out in the lumber business, but gradually moved into boat building. During Prohibition, he had contracts with the U.S. Coast Guard to build super fast boats to chase the rum runners. But there are these persistent rumors that he was simultaneously selling even faster boats to the rum runners.
Clever.
Uh-huh. Now, Joshua Schick, who's a curator at the National World War II Museum in New Orleans, has addressed these rumors by saying, that stuff is always fun to smile and chuckle about, but no one ever keeps a record saying that's what they did. So it's like a little, well, can't prove it.
Of course.
But I'm not saying no. By World War II, Higgins had expanded his operation from a single boatyard with fewer than 75 employees to 7 massive plants employing more than 20,000 workers.
Damn.
His City Park plant in Mid-City was producing those landing craft that we talked about, the Higgins boats, like non-stop. When they were finished, they would truck them over to Bayou St. John, then float them out to Lake Pontchartrain for testing, and then bring them back to the bayou and ship them out.
Okay.
By the end of the war, his factories had produced over 20,000 boats, including 12,500 of the landing craft that delivered troops to the beaches of Normandy and countless Pacific islands.
Yeah.
Even Hitler grudgingly acknowledged Higgins, supposedly calling him the new Noah, after seeing how many Allied troops arrived in his boat.
The new Noah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God.
Today, if you visit New Orleans, you can see a restored Higgins boat at the National World War II Museum that I mentioned a second ago.
Yeah.
Which, fittingly enough, is located on Andrew Higgins Drive.
Oh.
Yeah. The museum itself is actually there because of Higgins and his boats. Like, historian Stephen Ambrose, who founded the museum, chose New Orleans specifically because it was the city where Andrew Higgins built the boats that won the war.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I always wondered why it was in New Orleans, but like I didn't wonder enough to look into it.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a play. Like, yeah, that's pretty
Very
random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's really remarkable about Higgins Industries is that it was the first fully integrated workforce in New Orleans history. At a time when segregation was the law of the land, Higgins employed women and men, black and white, and they all got the same pay. If you were doing the same job as somebody else, you were making the same amount of money.
Good.
Yeah. We're going to end with the legendary Dr. John, who might be the most New Orleans person to ever New Orleans.
Oh.
If you've heard the phrase, in the right place at the wrong time, that's him. Like, it's basically his entire life story. Born Mac Ribbenack in 1941, this man was the living embodiment of the city's music, mysticism, and magnificent weirdness. Mac started playing in New Orleans nightclubs when he was 13 years old. It's like at the same age I was obsessing over the Spice Girls and Titanic, this kid was already backing up legends like Little Richard. But his career took a wild turn in 1960 when he got shot trying to protect one of his bandmates during a club fight. The injury messed up his left ring finger, which is kind of important when you're a guitarist.
Yeah.
So he had to switch to piano. In the late 60s, Mac reinvented himself as Dr. John the Night Tripper. And this is where it gets like, it starts to go buck wild. He created this whole persona based on a 19th century New Orleans voodoo priest, complete with elaborate headdresses, glittery capes, and this magnificent walking stick covered in feathers and bones.
Whoa.
Yeah. His stage shows were like voodoo ceremonies on acid.
Crazy.
He had backup singers who liked to dress as nurses. He had smoke machines, live snakes, dancers, glitter like falling from the ceilings, like you name it. At one point, like it was kind of his normal thing to enter the stage through a cloud of smoke while riding a fucking alligator.
Wow.
Riding an alligator. Tell me that's not the most badass entrance in music history.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's so New Orleans. It's like peak New Orleans. But it wasn't just theatrical bullshit. Like, Mac had very serious musical talent. His style was this insane mix of blues, jazz, zydeco, funk, psychedelic rock, and boogie woogie, with lyrics that were half English and half Creole, and 100% strange. His breakthrough album, Gree Gree, from 1968, scared the absolute shit out of record executives because they did not know like what to do with it. They were like, I love it, but I'm scared, and like I don't know what to do with my feelings or this album. I'm sorry. But like it went on to become a cult classic, and like it's still like you don't even know where to look in the record store. If that was even a thing that existed anymore, you wouldn't know where to look.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Oh, same. We'll have to, when we're done with this, we'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
now, I will say he did some music for The Princess and the Frog.
Really?
Yeah, if you look on the soundtrack, it's Dr. John. I think the opening song is Dr. John.
Okay.
But yeah.
Bit more traditional.
Yeah, a little bit. Through 6 decades and 6 Grammy Awards, Dr. John remained this incredible ambassador for New Orleans culture. After Hurricane Katrina, he became one of the city's most outspoken advocates, calling out government failures and raising money for relief efforts. He famously collaborated with everyone from Mick Jagger to Christina Aguilera and Princess Tiana, but never lost that distinctive New Orleans sound. When he died in 2019, the city gave him a send-off that was exactly what you would expect. Like a massive second line parade down the streets with brass bands dancing and like hundreds literally of people dressed in glitter and feathers. It wasn't a funeral. It was like truly a celebration. Like people say, oh, it's a celebration of life. It's not a funeral. And this is a funeral. Dr. John had a celebration of life. If you're not doing this, like you're fooling yourself. He basically personified into one magnificently weird human being, like what New Orleans is. And they treated him as such. Like, honestly, in a city full of legends, there's nobody who embodies the spirit of New Orleans the way that Dr. John did. Now, to wrap up, I'm going to share, I've got like 6 little, like really quick fun facts that I actually found in Reddit, like in a Reddit thread, but I did go and verify them.
Always.
You got to do that. Like,
yes.
I love Reddit. Shout out to Reddit. I don't trust you hoes.
No, you can't.
Okay. First up, New Orleans was the first American city to have an opera house and the first to have an indoor movie theater.
What?
It was also, unfortunately, the last to have a sewage system.
Oh.
Yeah. New Orleans is the 3rd rainiest city in the country.
Okay. That
Great.
makes sense.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's so humid. The port in New Orleans handles about 250,000 tons of coffee per year, which is equal to 20 billion servings, which is about 20% of all coffee drunk in the United States.
Wow.
Comes to the port of New Orleans. So if they get shut down, we are screwed.
Yeah, that's going to be a bad day.
Yeah. The game of craps was invented in New Orleans on Burgundy Street. And in fact, the original name of Burgundy Street, oh my God, our kid would love this, was Rue de Craps. Which, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to make the Taco Bell joke. Rue de Craps. Because you would rue de craps after you ate Taco Bell. Don't look at me like that.
I had to insert the cricket sounds.
That's really very rude. I think that's on you. I feel like everybody else probably got the joke, and you're just staring at me. I'm 100% sure. During Prohibition, I love this one so much. During Prohibition, it took federal agent Izzy Einstein just 35 seconds to find liquor in New Orleans, by far his fastest time of any city in America. Do you want to know how he did it?
I would love to hear.
He simply hopped in a cab, asked the driver where to get a drink, and the driver immediately handed him one.
Oh, great.
And unfortunately, it is still illegal to tie your alligator to a fire hydrant in the French Quarter. Sorry.
Well, that's pretty reasonable. I mean, you can't park in front of a fire hydrant.
But come on, man.
You wouldn't want your alligator to be on a fire hydrant.
This is bureaucracy gone mad. I'm going to have to disagree with you. Well, on that note, I got to finish packing. So thanks for tuning in and spending a little bit of your time with us today. I hope you enjoyed that story. And if you did,
I did.
Yay! Okay, but not you.
Oh.
Because you can't do what I'm about to say, which is, you guys, if you enjoyed that story, go on to your favorite podcast platform, whatever you're listening on right now. Leave us a 5-star review. Leave us a cutie little comment. Tell us your favorite thing about New Orleans. The comments do not have to be relevant to the show. Any comment with a 5-star review does put us in front of more listeners. That means we are in the algorithm and we will be suggested to other listeners. So comments are important. They don't have to make sense. If you want to hear more from us, God help you, for some reason, you can find us on Threads and Instagram at Fantastic HPod. You can find us on TikTok and YouTube at Fantastic History Podcast, or you can send us an email about how great we are at fantastichistorypod
at
gmail.com. All right. Until next time.
See ya.